I didn't do that one time, and Allie gets notifications as she signed up to be notified when we post new stuff. And she popped in one day and was watching, and I'm like, oh crap, I better set this to unlisted. She saw the show was on. She's like, oh, are you doing a live show? No.
I've been telling people all day that Renee was going to be live.
Oh, shut up.
No one wants to see that, trust me. I love the bird.
Thank you. She's very sweet most of the time. I just gave her a little chunk of cinnamon roll, so now she's expecting more. Let me say hi. Say hello.
Hi.
Hello. She always gets shy in front of the computer. Oh, are you dancing? We say hi. Wave hi. Wave hi. Wave hi. Wave hi. Oh, she's being a little bugger. She doesn't like Katie. Katie freaks her out. I know, because you know she's evil. Don't give kisses. No? All right, maybe later. Maybe later.
I would be so scared of that bird's beak.
Oh, man. She's got me good a few times.
Ooh.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's pretty intense.
Ouch. All right, so what are we talking about this week?
Well, my topics... Okay, so I've got euthanasia and cinnamon rolls.
That's an odd combination, but I think you can make that work.
Either of those sound appealing, or?
I am a big fan of cinnamon rolls.
Katie, what about you? What are your ideas?
I got a puppy.
I'm being invaded by a furball.
Oh, hi, cutie. I can't see the furball.
Come back here, Pumpkin.
Oh, hi, Pumpkin. Oh, so sweet. How old is Pumpkin?
14.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, her and her twin brother, both wandering around here somewhere.
Old
Awesome.
kitty.
You've been gone all day, but now that I'm on the computer, you want to show up.
So, Renee, what do you write? What do you do? I don't know much about you. It's been kind of a busy week, so I haven't had a chance to do my usual research.
I write a little bit of everything. I've got thrillers, murder mystery. I've got just realistic fiction, drama. I write an animal rescue series.
Oh,
all
sweet.
sorts of stuff.
Awesome.
I'm a little ADD, so.
Okay.
I think you kind of have to be in this field.
Join the club.
That's true.
I know
Okay,
I am.
You write a little bit of everything. We'll talk about that, and then you're doing some charity work for a library.
At the library, yeah. It's for Spread the Word Nevada, the children's literacy program.
Okay.
We can talk about that. Talk about what you did last year versus what you're planning to do this year.
I will try my best not to badmouth the charity from last year and the guy that runs it.
I remember that. I remember. But this year will be better. It will be so much better.
Well, they've
Although
already been
last
better.
year was kind of cool. I have to admit that was a unique location.
I felt so bad for Lynn. She was about ready to just jump back in the van and drive away. She was so scared of all the bikers.
Aww.
Well, and then we ended up with such a weird situation that they were holding a memorial the same day because one of their members was killed in a car accident.
Die for you, only one.
Yeah, that's an interesting.
Which ended up being why there were 400 bikers there. But they're the ones that put all of the cleaning supplies and everything. They were leaving on their bikes, coming back with stuff strapped to the back seat. It was fun.
It was an interesting crowd. I really enjoyed people watching at that event.
I had fun watching Marita's daughter try to eat nachos bigger than her.
Now, is she coming back for this year too?
She hasn't signed up yet, actually, and neither has 1330. I was surprised.
That's surprising. 1330 does everything.
I know.
Think I missed any events in Vegas.
Yeah, I know Jeff has mentioned it, but Lance is the one in charge of everything. And I see him at work every day.
I
And
reached out to Lance asking him if he wanted to be on Spilling Ink. I saw that he saw the message, but never replied to it.
yeah, he's done the same thing with anything we've said about the event in February.
Dang it. Oh, well.
I don't know what's going on with him. He's been very standoffish recently.
Well, the book market has been really bad lately, so I think a lot of people are just kind of disgruntled. So he may be cutting down on some of the events because they're not exactly cost effective.
Could be.
So, all right, well, let's get the show started. We'll do the intro and then we can continue since we're already doing some good discussion here.
Hey, Katie, do you want to make this a full normal show, or would you rather do it as one of the little ink spatter? What did you call them? Ink droplets?
Oh, those are more for like the quick 5-minute or under teasers for the shows. The ink spots. Yeah.
I gotcha. Okay.
But we can run it to where it naturally falls too. We don't have to push an hour if we don't have an hour's worth of material. We can let it come to a natural close and then end it.
Okay. Whatever you want. I was just wondering. I didn't know how you guys had set things up. So.
No, I wanted to make sure we got her on. That's why I gave the extra day, and I was like, please, 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 can you do it?
Oh God, I'm being taken over by 3 of them now.
All the animals.
Well, Pumpkin is now sitting next to me on the left. Smokey is on my...
Oh, hello, kitty.
Yes, on my waist, and that's the big fluffy black and white one.
Oh, that looks like our Boos. Oh, we lost Boos about a year ago, and she looked just like that. The black and white tuxedo fluffy kitty.
Bree is a Maine Coon Persian, but she's black and white. She looks exactly like my puppy that I lost back in July. And Puppy was a tuxedo. And I lost Puppy at like 9:45 in the morning. And that same afternoon, Victoria lost her Max, who looked exactly like Bree.
Oh, I remember Max. Yes.
Yeah, basically Bree's the female version.
Oh, and looks just like our Boos, which we thought she was either a Norwegian Forest or a very, very skinny Maine Coon, because she was like ridiculously skinny no matter how much she ate. But she had the most glorious fur.
Yeah, Bree's she's part Persian and part Maine Coon. But if you get her wet, there's like nothing to her. She cracks me up.
My old boy is we swear he's got to be a rag doll with how gentle and mild he is, but he's ginormous like a Maine Coon.
Well, I've got Pumpkin still hanging out right here. And then her brother, who has now wandered, of course. He's sitting right next to me, but he's hiding because he's shy. And then Bree wandering around behind me. I haven't seen any of them all day.
Well, now they know. They want to be stars of the show. Oh, and Jason, Bowser's going to come out of quarantine soon. His tail is looking so much better.
Good.
I finally had to just stop bandaging it because he would remove the bandage immediately and just rip he'd rip the scab off and it would just start bleeding again.
Oh.
There we go. There's my boy.
Oh, he's a cutie.
Aww.
He's the twin of the little orange one.
I feel like I should go get the puppy now and bring him
Yoshi?
back. A guest spot, yeah. All right, well, let's do this. Let me do the intro here, and we can get back to discussion. Everybody ready?
Yep.
Yes. Jason, all good?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Ink, the talk show that takes you behind the book to meet the authors and professionals in the publishing industry. We are back this week with another guest to introduce you to, and as always, my wonderful co-host, Jason.
Hey, everybody. I've missed you guys.
How you been? How was your Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving was great. Some friends of ours bought a zoo in Florida, so we flew down, spent a week with them, had Thanksgiving at the zoo with all the animals and the staff. It was fantastic. How about you? How was your Thanksgiving?
It was good. It was very good. We had, the family. We had the new puppy, and we just kind of stayed home, enjoying ourselves.
Awesome. So who do we have with us tonight?
Sorry, my daughter's phone just went off. All right, we'll just edit that part out real quick.
We had to take a snooping break.
I told you it was going to be crazy today. I mean, you can probably hear the game system going on next to me. Hey, Allie, your dad just tried to call you. He might be out front. Okay, so we'll just, again, edit all of that out. And Zoe needs help. I hear a little tiny voice, Mom. This is what happens when I don't have anybody to help like maintain them while I'm doing a show. All right, so we'll just jump right into it then. Renee, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your books?
All right. Well, my name is Renee Jean. I've been living here in Las Vegas for about 8 years, and I write everything. Animal rescue, charity books. I have attempted my hand at romance, but we'll just let that die where it is. I've got some thrillers, some murder mysteries, just mostly I like to write a whole bunch of stuff and then see what sticks.
That's cool. Now, what age range do you usually write for? Kind of all ages, or do you have a particular group that you like to write for?
I call it mid-adult, I guess. It's not really young adult. Some of the topics, I do have an entire series based on PTSD, which tends to be a little more real adult. But I also have some young adult. My Never Give Up is definitely a young adult book. I even have an entire kids series based on Daddy and Me instead of Mommy and Me, because I have a lot of single father friends. So I wrote it for them.
Oh, that's awesome. That's very cool. And you said you write animal rescue as well. What are the animal rescue books about? Is this a rescue organization and following their stories, or?
What it is, actually, they're off the market at the moment. There was unfortunately an issue with the person I had partnered with, so I'm revamping, but it's called Rescue Me, and it's anthologies. It's people sharing their stories of how they rescued their animals and how the animals kind of rescued them in return. And the feline edition does star my little monsters here keeping me company, as well as several others I know, but all of them go back 100% of the proceeds to different animal charities.
That's fantastic. I love it. And as our viewers know, and most people who know me, I am an animal lover. I work at a vet office, and I guess our house is kind of an animal rescue in itself. We take in everyone. Too many animals here. So yeah, that's a lot of fun. I would love to check those out. That's very cool. So it's kind of sounds like a little bit of a chicken soup for the soul kind of thing. Stories that'll make you feel good.
Yes, it's very, very similar. Like I said, they're being revamped right now, so I'm going to be working on not only new stories for an anthology, but possibly a new style for it altogether. But the one thing that won't change is everything will go back to the charities.
That's fantastic. I love it. And they definitely need it, because our animal rescue organizations have their work cut out for them, for sure. So now what is your process? You kind of write in all different directions here. How do you come up with what you're going to do next, or is it just kind of however the wind takes you?
I think it's more that the voices in my head, eventually one comes out on top and starts yelling at me, and the only way to make it stop is to finally write down the story.
Okay.
Which is why I've got 2 books in one series, like 3 ideas for a whole nother series, another book for another series. It's the beginning of one, and I'm like, someday I'm going to finish one of these.
Now, how do you find time for writing? Do you set I can't talk. Do you set time during the day to do some writing, or do you just try and squeeze it in where you can?
I tend to squeeze it in more where I can. I work as a casino table games dealer, which, by the way, fantastic inspiration. Great people watching.
I was going to say that people watching must be fantastic.
One of the books I'm actually preparing it'll hopefully be out later this year, or later next year, I guess now, is called Just Deal With It. And it's basically Vegas from the dealer's perspective. Okay. And there is an entire chapter called Don't Be That Guy. And there's another one that says Don't Touch the Dealer, just like the strip club. Don't touch the dealer. Those are mostly my stories, but I'm actually co-writing that with another dealer. He's been in the industry even longer than I have.
It's amazing the things that you see when you work in a job like that, the different types of people and the amount of crazy that you see that you'd think is unbelievable. And then you're like, yep, there's another story.
Well, many years ago, I worked as a collections agent in the state of Michigan for a Rent-A-Center. I would do collections, repossession, and I was like, I'm never going to have these kinds of stories again. I will never have a job that has those kinds of stories. And then I became a dealer. I have better stories now. But I do work 2 jobs, so because of that, my time is a little questionable periodically.
So where were you in Michigan? I'm in Michigan as well.
I lived in Lansing.
Okay. Okay. Awesome.
Although I did some of the Rent-A-Center stuff, not only in Lansing, but also Flint and Detroit.
Okay. Oh, you were on the not so nice side of our state.
I was, but when you look at me and I look like a Barbie doll, most people would think there's no way I could possibly lift up that big screen TV or carry a couch by myself, but I'm stronger than I look.
Oh, stop it. What are you doing? Sorry, she's...
Now, what's coming up for you next, Renee?
Well, hopefully next will be the Just Deal With It book. But I'm working on finishing my thriller series, which is actually all about a writer who is battling the voice in her head that's trying to become more than just a character.
Ooh, I like that premise.
My mom's like, this better not be autobiographical. I'm going to be a little concerned. Do I need to come out there and give you therapy?
Now, do you self-publish? Do you go with a small press?
I did go with a small press for
Why
the
are you
rescue
biting
books,
me?
which was unfortunately the problem. I found out later on that the person in charge had not made the donations to the charity, so I ended up going back and doing it myself. And so those are going to be self-published now. Everything else up till now has been self-published. I'm working to become a hybrid and have some books traditionally published. And I went to a conference back in January of this year to actually meet some agents and editors and get some tips on how to do that.
How did the conference go for you? Did you meet some people?
I did, other than the fact that I may have overly stalked R.L. Stine a little bit, which is the entire reason I went.
R.L. Stine is still alive?
Yes.
Holy cow.
And
He was ancient when I was a kid and reading his books.
And it turns out that as great as he is at horror, he's really funny. He had everybody laughing to the point they were crying during his keynote speech.
I think you'd have to be, though. To have a mind that can go that dark, you have to be able to swing the other way.
Yeah, he's really funny. He actually used to run a humor magazine, which I'm determined to now find a copy of. But I met him. I met Jonathan Mayberry, who is also fascinating to talk to. J.A. Jance, who at some point I will hunt down because she put an idea in my head for like 13 books. So that's her fault.
For 13 books?
It's all in one series.
Wow.
At some point I will beat her up for that, but I'm kind of excited about it too. And one of the ideas got to scare my boss the other night, so that was fun.
Well, what was the idea that scared your boss?
It's a murder mystery, and it's set in the casino world, and I kind of figured out how a cocktail waitress could poison a player with their coffee and get away with it. And
Nice.
apparently his coffee was no longer desirable, and he left real fast. He asked what I was thinking. I told him. Apparently that was wrong.
Now,
Never get on a writer's bad side.
which conference was it that you went to? Was it out here in Vegas or?
It was the San Diego State University Writers Conference.
Okay. I was going to say there was a recent conference this last month actually that was all about the publishing industry, but it didn't have any agents or editors. I think it was just about the indie publishing industry and the right to market group.
I want to attend some more of those. I'm hoping to go to the Writers Digest conference in New York this coming year. A friend of mine lives in Brooklyn, and so he's like, if you come on out, I'll give you a place to stay. I was like, you do know I'm going to talk about book writing and be like obsessively stalking other authors the entire time, right? And he's like, yeah, I know.
That's what I keep telling Jason. I'm like, he needs to come out here. He can crash on the couch and go to some of the conferences that are out this way.
We
No, I
did
hear
have
the
some-
madness in your house. I don't know.
Yeah, it's complete madness over here. Sorry.
I'll bring my whole crew of animals with me, and you'll know what pain really is.
Oh God, yeah, no, we can't handle any more animals. We've got 2.5 cats and a dog now.
Well, 2.5 cats.
The half cat is a feral cat that she lives in our garage. She's garage cat.
Oh, I see. I see.
Doesn't get along with the cats indoors. We've tried her inside, and all she ends up doing is fighting and pooping all over the house. And
Awesome.
she cannot survive on her own outside. She has no life skills whatsoever. So the happy medium between that is she has her own little kennel in the garage. She has her own food, her own water, her own litter box, everything in her own little space out there, and she's garage cat.
So yeah, as I say, she's not a feral cat then. If she can't, make it. She's a house cat that for some reason
She was originally a feral cat. We have fixed her. We have made sure she's got her shots, but yeah, she doesn't get along with any of the cats in the house. And it'd be cruel to let her outside, even though she doesn't want to go outside. We can leave the garage open all day long. She will not go outside.
There we go. Sorry, I got taken over again.
How did we get on the topic of animals? We always end up going off topic.
Yeah. Well, somebody was just in the office today that was telling me a story about how they rescued a duckling who was drowning. And after they rescued the duckling, her husband performed CPR on the duck. And it came back to life, but after that, it was afraid of water and never wanted to go near water again, which I thought was a pretty good story. Yeah. So
That's interesting.
yeah. I'm just imagining, because her husband was like this big biker guy, and I'm just imagining him performing CPR on this little duckling.
I would like to see that.
Yeah, and it'd be adorable. It'd be a great story for an animal rescue anthology.
There you go.
Huh? What do you?
I don't think we've had ducks yet.
What do you think? Huh? What do you think?
Now, speaking of organizations, you are actually organizing a charity event in February, correct?
I am, yep. Right before the Nevada Reading Week, we will be working with the Children's Literacy Program, Spread the Word Nevada. My partner and I, Victoria Kerr, another local Las Vegas indie author, we are putting together, this year we have 18 authors tables. 13 of them so far are full, so we've officially met that minimum because we know how to fix the other 5 tables if we don't fill them. But that's already more than double what we had last year. And we've got some great raffle prizes. We've got a concession stand this year, which should be fun. And I'll probably be hiding there with the cookies.
That's where I would be for sure. So what charity is this going towards?
It's called Spread the Word Nevada, and what it does is it helps underprivileged children and schools that can't afford to have like books in their libraries and stuff like that to get books for the kids so that they can have the reading and help have literacy programs, all sorts of stuff. Okay.
And so how are you drawing attention to this to bring people in for it?
Well, my day job, I work at the Venetian Hotel and Casino on the Las Vegas Strip, and they have an organization called Sands Cares who partners with Spread the Word. So they are helping us with advertising and press releases. And then we're also working with the entire Clark County library system to get the word out.
That's
Last
awesome.
year we got a lot of people through Starbucks flyers.
That's cool.
Lots of people go to Starbucks.
So how does the event raise money? Like how does it generate money for the charity?
Every author pays a $30 table fee, and all of that money goes back to the charity.
Okay.
Any of the money from the concession items, and then people can also buy raffle tickets. There's 2 levels of raffle prizes. Some of the smaller ones you can buy tickets for. The larger ones, you actually get a ticket if you buy a book from one of the authors to help promote the authors as well.
That's awesome.
Because we don't want a bunch of authors sitting around making faces at each other not selling books, because then they won't come back.
We'll still sit around and make faces at each other, though.
Yeah, but it's more fun if you get paid while you do it.
That's true.
Plus, I mean, you guys are going to have to listen to me on a microphone for 2 hours, so you may as well get paid.
So, Katie, do you have a table at this event?
I do. I signed up for last year's event as well.
Yeah, last year's was a creative event, to say the least.
The location was truly unique. I thought it was a very interesting place to hold it and made for great people watching.
Yeah, we worked with a veterans organization to do a book signing. We had 6 authors, and we were at a Marine bar and memorial museum. That was interesting.
Yeah, pulling up and seeing all the bikers out front, it was kind of like, oh, Okay, but it was so much fun. The energy inside was good.
Yeah, there were 400 of the Las Vegas chapters of the Marine Riders who were there because, as it turns out, the bar is also their clubhouse. And they had an event earlier that day, and they were all still drinking. So they were there to hang out. And when they found out it was a military charity, they jumped right in.
That's awesome. So did each biker buy a book then? Because that'd be great.
Actually, most of the bikers were more involved with bringing the charity asked for cleaning supplies. And so we set up a big box thinking, okay, we'll try to fill the box. It turned out that we filled my car and another car. A friend of mine that showed up that I work with at Venetian, he showed up to try to be supportive. I think he bought a book or two from some of the authors, but we ended up using his car to take stuff home too.
I've got all sorts of animal noises over here. Sorry, Katie.
No worries. So Renee, how did you guys get started with this? Because you and Victoria really spearheaded this last year. Where did the idea come from?
Honestly, we used to do our monthly coffees with the Las Vegas Indies group. And I don't know who said it. Somebody said, we should do a charity event. We should do something to get everybody together and, whether it's for animals or for children or military or something. And then nobody really jumped up to lead it. And Victoria and I really wanted to do something, and neither one of us had much of a life at the time. So we decided we'd partner up and see if we could make it happen. And AJ Renee, who was still in Vegas at the time, is a military wife. There's a lot of military connection in our group. So we went military and just figured, hey, For the Love of Books is a good name. We'll do it in February. It was just a little difficult since we decided to start the first week of January and put the whole thing together in 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's a really truncated timeline.
But we had almost 30 raffle prizes. We raised $350 ourselves, plus the bar kicked in another $150 to make it an even $500 donation. And for awesome. 6 authors in 6 weeks, I think we did all right. We had a good time.
Yeah, not bad.
It's so cool that you're organizing these events. That's fantastic.
Well, and the indie community really has a lot of authors that can jump up and participate in these things. And a lot of us are really eager to get out there, and any opportunity to do that is worthwhile.
I think the reason that I jumped into it initially is when I released my book Survivor. I did that as a fundraiser. Oh, we have a bird. I did a whole fundraiser for the Shade Tree organization, which is a shelter here in Las Vegas for homeless women, but also abused women and children and their pets, which is kind of how they got my heart. It was Noah's Animal House. And so when I did the release of Survivor, again, Sands Cares donated the ballroom at Venetian, and we had a cake from Carlo's Bakery, who is a cake boss from TLC. We had Grimaldi's Pizza. We had all sorts of raffle prizes. And so I had some background in doing charity events anyway. And now it's just kind of become an annual thing. So at least we had a lot more time to plan this time.
That's awesome. I can't believe they donated all that stuff. That's amazing.
Oh, it's funny. I went in to order the cake because I knew I was going to have a cake for the Survivor event. And they called me and asked if they could do a few upgrades to it at their own cost. And I was like, sure. And they're not cheap. It was, it was a bigger cake, but it was still about $140. But I was like, it's worth it. I get to say I had a Cake Boss cake. And when we went to pay for it, they told us, you know what? Don't worry about it. It's on us. So they surprised me with that.
Oh, that's so sweet of them. And yeah, they make some amazing cakes, but they aren't cheap. Whew.
No, but we're fortunate. Sprinkles Cupcakes last year donated a dozen cupcakes for our event at the bar, and they've stepped up and done it again. Menchie's Frozen Yogurt has done 4 different ice cream cakes as prizes. United Healthcare, when they were getting ready to remodel, they ordered a bunch of the big pictures and art to go on the walls. They had too many, so they gave us 3 of them.
Oh, wow.
We have passes to flight lines out at Bootleg Canyon this year to do the zip lining. So we've had a lot of organizations step up. You are such a pretty bird.
Those are some really awesome prizes too. So hopefully that helps to get people to buy those raffle tickets. And all the money you said for that goes straight into the charity, correct?
All the money goes into the charity, and then we're also doing a book drive. What they really need is, of course, is books that can be handed out and donated to the schools. They have 49 elementary schools locally that they work with. And so they do brunches, they do all sorts of fundraisers, and they do actually do reading hours and things like that. I actually volunteer during reading week to go and hang out at the elementary schools and read to the kids. I had a blast with that last year.
Our elementary school where my boy goes, they do a bookworm breakfast once a month. And it's that same thing. They have on their little platform area, they lay out all the books and the kids can go pick a book. And it's wonderful for them to be able to pick up a new book to read.
It's very similar to the RIF, Reading is Fundamental program that I had growing up in Michigan. But they run out of books, and they run out of, the ability to get more for the next round of books, the next round of schools. They're still adopting schools. I think they're going to be up to about 60 by the end of the year. And so our goal is to raise about $500 and 1,000 books minimum.
Sorry.
All good.
Never fails.
What age range do you need on the books?
Anywhere from kindergarten all the way through 8th grade.
No, we've got an echo going on.
And there's going to be more cupcakes this year?
There are cupcakes. We have a couple other bakeries that are looking to donate as well. So we might have even more.
We really like cupcakes.
Jason, are you hearing that echo?
I can hear it.
I'm hearing an echo. I don't hear it. Maybe it's me.
Can you hear it when I'm talking?
No.
I
can hear it. Shoot. Okay, let me mute myself. Jason, say something. Let's see if I'm hearing the echo on your end too.
Hi, how's it going tonight? My name's Bella. I like to eat cupcakes and pizza.
Hi, pretty bird.
Oh. Okay, Renee, I'm going to mute myself again. Jason, mute yourself real quick, and let's see if we can get the echo to repeat. All right, Renee, go ahead and say something.
I like cupcakes too. And pizza. It's actually what I had for dinner
There's no
yesterday.
echo on hers. It might be because we're both logged in again. Jason, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Do you want to, since I've got the control on it, do you want me to hold on to it and you log back in?
Yep, I'll log out and log back in. I've got to go bring Bella upstairs to visit with the rest of the family for... What are you doing? Did you hear that you were going upstairs?
Ooh.
Do you not like that? Hi, crazy. Okay. We'll be back.
Okay. All right, let's see if the echo's still here. I'm not hearing it now.
I don't hear it now.
Okay, yeah, it was probably because we're both double logged in as the same. Always a technical difficulty.
Yay, technology.
Right? You gotta love it, even when it fails. Of course, I've had both the phones go off while we were here. I thought I turned this one down.
I was doing Christmas cards earlier, and so I had to post to our little home group with, Steve's sister and brothers and nieces and stuff asking for addresses. But all that did is wake them up, and so my phone's been going off nonstop next to me. Because every time one person messages and responds and responds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've got that with the siblings. Me and my brother and my two sisters. And usually it's around the holidays or birthdays, or right now it's Christmas presents, people letting everybody know Christmas presents are on their way. The phone just keeps pinging over and over and over. Like, I really don't need to know all of this.
Oh, and even better, Steve's niece is about to give birth because she's at 5 centimeters and has been admitted to the hospital.
Oh, well, there you go. Now, is she local?
No, they live back in Ohio, Toledo area. That's where he's from.
Okay.
I surprised him at Christmas and sent him home to see his family for Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's nice.
And I set it up with his sister and his niece to, get him a ride from the Detroit airport and everything. They're like, "Are you coming too?" I was like, "No, I can't get the time off." They're like, "But we wanted to see you." I'm like, "You can see your brother and your uncle."
One's better than none.
But, we've been together almost 8 years, so I guess I'm family.
Right?
Why are you laying on my arm?
Because it's a cat. Cats love to do that.
Normally she tries to lay on my keyboards, I guess.
Ooh, laser eyes. Hi, Jason.
Hey,
Welcome
Katie.
back.
Are we all done with the echo?
Oh, yeah. It's much cleaner now.
Okay, good. It must have been me.
I think we were both logged in and it was just creating that weird effect.
Yes, I had to bring Bella upstairs anyway. She climbed down off the perch, found a AA battery on the ground, carried it to the top of her cage where I can't reach her because it's taller than me, and then was running around up there. That's why I disappeared for a minute. So,
What part of Michigan are you in?
Holland, which is
Holland.
a little
Tulips.
south of Grand Rapids.
Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
Yay, tulips.
Lots of tulips. And look, I found another cinnamon roll. Mm-hmm.
I haven't even had dinner yet. You're making me hungry, Jason.
Isn't it? It's 9 o'clock, Katie.
No, it's 5 o'clock.
Oh
or
my
6
God.
o'clock.
You guys are ridiculous out there.
You're
I don't
just in
get
the future.
It can't be 9 o'clock. That's when I go into work.
Dude, it's been dark for 4 hours.
Well, that's actually pretty close to here, too.
Yeah. The whole getting dark at 4 o'clock thing is ridiculous.
Yeah, it does make the day feel a little rough sometimes.
Yeah, because you get to about 7 or 8 o'clock and you're like, it has got to be midnight now.
Yeah, and it's even worse when you go into work at 9 p.m.
Oh. Yeah, those late shifts, those are hard to deal with.
I like telling everybody I work the other 9 to 5.
So, Renee, you are an indie author right now.
Mm-hmm.
You're working on going more towards hybrid. Now, how are you selling right now? You don't have to give us sales figures, but it's been kind of a rough year for a lot of us indie authors.
Yes.
So what has it been like for you?
Well, it turns out that I suck at marketing. And so I'm going to say other
Me
than
too.
shows, pretty much non-existent. I do great at shows. The Vegas Valley Book Festival, Author Palooza, any of those that we go to, I always do great. When I'm there and I can talk to people and build that rapport, but just spamming Facebook and Twitter and trying to run Goodreads things, which I'm pretty sure I broke Goodreads for a minute. It's basically non-existent if I'm not at the show.
And then going broke with ads too, if you try that, doesn't necessarily work either.
No, and I tried it like once or twice and realized that I have no idea what I'm doing. So, and I pulled one of my books, Never Give Up, my young adult book, off of Amazon because I maintain self-published, but through somebody else claiming to be like a little, indie publisher. Basically, you pay them $40 so they can self-publish for you.
Okay.
But I don't trust her. And I didn't want her to be the one that could control whether or not I could order copies of my own book. And she is vengeful like that. So I pulled it off of Amazon and I'm going to reformat, re-edit, and republish it myself.
Okay. I am actually going to be pulling every one of my books over the next year because I want to re-edit and revise and change some things around. I recently signed on with a smaller publishing company, actually just in the last few months here, and their motto is that series sell books. And I know Katie has some really long series, and I really enjoy reading series as well. So I'm kind of taking the novels that I have, and in addition to writing new ones, I want to tweak them a little bit so they have a little bit more connective tissue between one another. So someone can read, Pathosis and say, oh, okay, well, I recognize this from this other book that he's read. That's kind of a cool connection. And, let me see what else I can find and try to develop a little bit more continuity between the books, which is why I was asking kind of how you got your inspiration for what direction you go, because previously I've been writing in all sorts of directions as well. And that's one thing the new publisher kind of slapped my hand about. He said, you're really fracturing your reader base. You're going in so many directions that people don't know what to expect from you or if they're going to like it. So, yeah. And I understand that. And at the same time, I do want to write all these different things. I want to write thrillers. I love reading thrillers, but I also want to write horror. I want to write some sad, sappy stuff that, might make you cry a little bit. So it's trying to build a rapport with the readers and then keep it going through all these different genres is going to be kind of my goal over this next year, I think.
Yeah, I've got about 7 books right now that are, 3 of them are novellas, and they're part of actually my PTSD series, where Survivor was one of the novellas. The novel is called Sharing Strength, and it focuses on a group of, like a support group, I guess, for PTSD. But I was watching a documentary, and after 3 hours, they essentially came out and said that unless you're in the military, you can't have PTSD. I was diagnosed with PTSD when I was 22, and I've never served a day in my life. So that irritated me, and I immediately started writing a book that had military, it had car crash survivor, it had an abusive relationship survivor, it has a rape survivor. It has all these different ways that you can get PTSD. And then each character represents things and demonstrates different aspects of the disease and of the recovery process. And then the novellas are actually the background to each character, to how they ended up in Sharing Strength.
I like it. So are your stories are fictional, correct?
Most of them.
I was going to say, but they feel like it doesn't feel like regular fiction to me. I mean, it feels very realistic, very real world.
Yes.
I like that. That's cool. What do you call that?
I've tried many things. We're just calling it realistic fiction at this point.
Okay. I get that.
Survivor is actually based on a true story. And so that one was maybe a little more difficult to write.
That was your story? It
was, yes. And unfortunately, I've got the scars to prove it.
I want to say, can I ask what the story is about, or is that not something you want to talk about?
No, it's fine. I talk about it. I actually speak on the subject nationally. It's fighting back against domestic violence.
Okay.
My ex-boyfriend and I had a volatile relationship, to say the least. And when it was time for the relationship to end, he decided it was time for my life to end as well. And I was fortunate enough that part didn't stick. But it took years, therapy, years of, unfortunately, failed relationships and me sabotaging things after that, and going from relatively healthy to 300 pounds and back, to be able to talk about it, to be able to share the story. But I've been asked to speak many times. I've held events myself that have helped draw awareness to the subject, and that means a lot to me.
When you do speaking events, do you bring the book with you so that you can let them see deeper into the story?
I do. Usually what most people want, I don't know if you've ever seen at the different events that we've done together, I always wear a purple, one of those rubber bracelets around my wrist. That one says Survivor, and we gave those out at the initial event. I usually have them at book shows too, and they're the royal purple, which is the color of the ribbon for PTSD awareness, or domestic abuse awareness. And then I have a teal one too for PTSD. But I wanted to show all aspects. I have friends that have been sexually assaulted, which is a huge, huge topic right now. And that's where the rape victim comes in. I do have friends that are military. My boyfriend is a veteran. And even though he never saw combat, he saw his share of some bad things being in the military. And so I'm fortunate enough that he shares those feelings with me so I can get it right.
No, never mind. Not a good show topic. Sorry, no, I was just gonna ask some personal curiosity questions, but we'll end up having to cut that from the show. But so in our current political climate, women have been, I mean, to be frank, in my opinion, our president and many of the people that we're supposed to look up to in our society have really kind of not only objectified women, but abused women. And it's public, and nothing is being done about it. Now, you, as an abuse survivor, married to or dating a veteran, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
How does I'm curious, what are his views on kind of how things work in this country? Because he's someone that was in the military, and I think of these as really kind of hard-nosed, hard-ass people. But we also have you who have your own battle scars and your own traumas that you went through in your life. How do you guys look at what's happening in the country right now? I mean, what do you see? What does that? How does that feel to you?
I think the thing that's unique about us is we both look for both sides of every topic. The first thing that he said is, when all of the stuff with Harvey Weinstein and now just recently Matt Lauer and everything kept coming out, is he said, how does that make you feel, the way people are treating women? I said, it's not about how people treat women. It's about how people treat people. There are men that are just as abused as women. There are men that are abused by women. And my big thing is making sure that anybody who's abused in any way knows that they're not alone and knows that there's support out there. It's frustrating to think that the people that we keep putting in charge are the ones that are doing this. And from a military standpoint, he looks at it like, I would rather just, get my orders, go overseas and shoot a gun at somebody that's doing something wrong. He's very solution-based. He doesn't want to talk about it and just sit around and hash out the details. He wants to just have a game plan, execute the plan, and that's how it works. For me, I'm more than happy to debate, but I want to make sure that we see all sides of the subject.
And I think you should. You should definitely look at all sides of the subject, because you're right. It's not just women. We're hearing a lot more about women right now, but abuse happens all across the board, and a lot of times it's allowed to just slip through the cracks.
Well, I think the difficult thing is it's more socially acceptable for women to step forward and say, I was abused. Men, even though they're abused just as much, if not worse in some situations, they're so much less likely to come forward because there's still a kind of a stigma. And sometimes it's just men looking at other men going, why would you step up and say something? And it's unfortunate because it's not going to change until we can actually talk about it openly, which is one of the reasons I wrote Survivor. It's one of the reasons that I wrote Sharing Strength, is I wanted to take these topics no one wants to talk about and put them front and center and make people talk about them.
Well, and here's where I'm having some difficulty, and I think that what you're doing is exactly right. I think that's great. What my problem is that these issues are front and center right now. They're they're the eyes of the world. I mean, everybody is hearing about what's happening in our country, and there's what is being done about it. I mean, that's where I'm stuck here, and I don't understand.
Me too.
A lot of times people, when they're not going through that kind of trauma or it's not affecting their daily life, they've already got enough of their own stress. They don't want to care about additional stress that's not affecting them. And I think because the political feel of the country over the last year has been so overwhelmingly negative, people are already hitting their point of frustration. They don't want to even talk about anything else. No matter what the subject is, whether it's abuse or whether it's issues with foreign affairs or, what have you. Every day there seems to be some new, oh my God, what's happening? And people are kind of done with it.
I think the other problem is everybody's so divisive that it instantly becomes a different subject. It's, can you believe that Matt Lauer just got fired? Oh my God, here's this guy that's been around for so long. And even he came out and said, it's not all true, but enough of it's true that, I need to take care of this, which I don't approve what he did, but I admire the fact that he stepped up and said, yep, I messed up. And the problem is it instantly becomes a Republican versus Democrat, sweep it under the rug and talk about something else, and let's just argue about the same subject over and over and over again. Everybody's so divided at the very base of the political, economic, social, everything, that nobody can come together and find a solution. Everybody's just wanting to defend their side, even if it has nothing to do with the current subject. They turn it into something else again. And it's really, for me, that's the most frustrating part. You can't solve a problem because we can't come together long enough to do it.
Well, we have so many problems too. It's like, take your pick. Which one do we fix first?
Yeah. I'd be happy if we could just solve one. Can we just come together long enough to fix a problem and then maybe pick another one to try later?
Healthcare, please, healthcare.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
For God's sake, healthcare. I'm to the point where we pay more than 10% of our annual income in premiums and deductibles without even touching any other expenses. And we're coming up at the end of the year and I've got bills stacking up that I don't have the funds yet to pay for because we didn't meet what they claim is our deductible, even though we have, thousands upon thousands of dollars in medical expenses. I've got a family of 5. Mm-hmm. And yet they're saying we still haven't met our deductible because they don't have the right receipts or the doctor didn't submit the right forms, but it's going against my credit. And I'm trying to stay afloat and keep everyone healthy, and we're blowing 10% or more of our annual budget on just paying these premiums to be able to go to the doctor. God forbid we get sick and need one. But that's another topic.
Yeah, there's upsides, downsides. The downsides, the premiums, everything is so expensive right now. The upside, people like me who couldn't have insurance before, they're finally required to insure me.
But how long is that going to last if they get rid of pre-existing conditions and things
and that's, if they get rid of pre-existing conditions, then I'm back to no insurance at all.
My whole deal is I liked the Bernie Sanders plan of the single payer system because we already have it for military. We already have it for Medicaid. If they can expand it, yes, it does create a tax increase, but that tax increase is less than the premiums you're paying. So it's just shifting the money from one pocket to the other and actually getting coverage you can use now.
Oh, absolutely.
But nobody seems to understand that. They just want to go back and say, well, why should I pay for somebody else's health care? That's not exactly what's happening.
No, but again, everybody's so divided, and all you have to do is say, well, that's what the GOP says, or that's what the Dems say, and instantly, whichever side you're on, the other side is wrong.
Well, the minute you say tax increase, everybody goes, no, but they don't understand it's not actually a real increase. It's shifting money you're already spending.
Yeah. People don't want to sit down and have a easy and actual conversation about it. They just want to argue.
It's true. And we already have it in place for the military. We already have it in place for Medicaid, Medicare. It's just a matter of expansion. Jason? I'm going to shut up now.
Yeah. No, I am. I'm stretched thin, and I've been wound so tight over everything that's been happening in our society that I'm just like, I'm just ready to snap at someone who says the wrong thing to me, and that's really not the person that I am. And it's frustrating to me that I don't know. It's all just really frustrating to me. So I,
Well,
I feel like I'm
that's the answer to your question, though. Why are we having these, people not willing to talk about things and debate things and fix things? We're all stretched to the point of being so frustrated. We don't know what to do anymore.
yeah, it is.
And it bleeds into writing too. I know, Nano was this last month. I have not been motivated at all this month. I was gung-ho at the start, and just things got rough and busy, and the words never came.
I withdrew for the first time ever because I knew that I just had so much else going on. I couldn't do it. And I think the fact that that's my release, that writing is my escape when I get frustrated, when I need to just exit the world for a little while, and I didn't have that, just weighed that much more on me. And it made it really difficult. But when you're working 7-8 shifts every week between 2 jobs and just trying desperately to not kill your players because they're annoying and drunk and yelling at you for no reason because you didn't give them a blackjack. Not that I have any personal issues with this, but I couldn't. It was either write or sleep, and sleep seemed like a much better use of my time at the moment.
I know that feeling. Well, and Jason, you're in editing hell right now, right?
I am in editing hell. I would love to be able to write again. I started a new book a couple days ago, and it was 1,000 words in the first writing I've done in a long time. But yeah, it's just the editing is so grueling. It takes up so much time that it'll be nice to be able to be creative again.
But it must be nice, though, to have a developmental editor working with you, because that's more than just standard line editing. They're actually helping you to make the story flow better.
Yep. They're kind of helping with all aspects of improving the stories, and it's great, but it's a hell of a lot of work. So, yeah.
Do you have a deadline for everything to be turned in?
Yes, actually, the end of January for one book, and then about 3 months later for two more. So, and at the pace I'm going now, I've really got to step things up. I've always been terrible at revisions. Line edits, not so bad, but actual revising takes me a long time because I have to sit and think about the sentence and think about where I want it to go and how to make it work. And by the time I'm done, I'm like, okay, I just spent an hour on this paragraph. How am I going to get through 80,000 words, So yeah, I need to work on my productivity a little bit.
That's why I have 6 books that are the same way. All need to be edited.
What were you saying, Katie?
Oh, sorry. I said, can you give me an example of what kind of suggestions the editor is telling you?
Oh, my gosh. Well, for this particular publishing company, and of course we all know that we don't want to use passive voice when we're writing. We want to tell action as it is and show don't tell. This editor is really, really harsh when it comes to state of being verbs when describing how someone is. Like, I don't know, Katie was 16 30 years ago, or Katie had a full head of hair at one time. I don't know. I'm just, like I said, my brain is shot. But in any case, I use the word was, W-A-S, an awful lot when I write. And I think it's because it's how I speak as well. And this particular publisher absolutely hates the word was. They feel that it slows down the entire reading process. So a lot of what I'm doing is taking words like was and went and had and things like that out. But you can't just remove those words. The entire sentences have to be rewritten to take them out correctly. So that's a lot of what I'm doing. Because most of the line edits, their editors are going through and taking care of all that for me. But things that are actually going to change the way the paragraphs work, I like to do myself. But yeah. All right.
As long as they're not editing out your personal voice, though, because while I agree with a lot of developmental editors suggesting that you make things sound more active, it can't always be 100% active voice. Sometimes the passive is necessary. And sometimes when you work so hard to remove those simple words, you end up becoming way too purple. And it becomes almost unreadable because it's boring to slog through all of the extra explanation to get to the simple sentence.
Exactly. And that's exactly how I feel about it. And so that's why there's such a challenge, is to cut this fat and to make things more active without them becoming too histrionic, too purple, too flashy and bullshitty. So yeah, so that's kind of the hell that I'm in right now. Because for this particular publisher, and it's what I've signed on to do, is to create stories in the style that they want, because they want to be able to push those and sell those to the readers that are going to like them. So for this publisher, that's what I have to do. Now, if I'm writing something that's horror or something that's drama, there's definitely going to be a lot different style, because I want to write in a different style. But
well, it also has to do with the scenes as well. If you're describing things, yes, you want to be a little bit more detail oriented. But if you're, say, in an action sequence where two characters are fighting, you want the short, choppy sentences to create that active flow as well.
Yeah. Yep. And I think that this is really good for me, because I've been wanting to become more marketable for a long time and trying to figure out how to do that, because I suck at marketing as well. And we talked to I think it was Ronnie Verdi a few weeks ago, and he was talking about right to market and looking at what's hot right now in the world and emulating that in your own writing to try to get your books in the hands of readers that are buying books at right then. And it's tough to do because we're used to writing with our heads and with our hearts and writing the stories that we want. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now, is I'm going to be writing thrillers that are going to fit what the type of thrillers that people are buying on the market right now, and kind of see how that goes for me, and hopefully sell some books and reach some new people that I can then draw into other genres that I want to explore as well.
We'll have to follow your progress along as we go through this, because I'd like to see the effect of writing to market and how it works as well. Because, when we talked to Ronnie, I was kind of hesitant because I can't get my head around a story that I don't feel connected to. Yeah. And, I want to write things that people want to read, obviously, but I can't just toss out a story because that's what's hot.
Yes. I agree with you completely, and that's probably why I don't sell very many books either. But so here's where I'm at with one project. I have written a nearly complete novella that was just going to go in my collection of short stories that I wanted to put out next year, and it is more of a really intense emotional drama. Only, okay, that's not what we want to publish right now. Right now, we're looking for thrillers. We want this and this. We want the big action scenes. We want James Rollins. We want Mark Dawson. We want, these kind of authors that sell. And so, okay, my intense emotional drama is now going to get a revamp on the plot to where I still have my characters. I still have my overall theme, but it's going to be more of a thriller, instead of a lot of these things that are happening inside a character's mind. All of a sudden there's going to be a revolution, and there's going to be this and that, and big, world ending things, to try to fit within this thriller category. So we'll see how it works out. It's going to be a bit of a process, but over the next year, I should be able to chronicle it pretty well. And see.
We'll definitely be checking in as we do shows each week to see where you're at.
Yeah. Well, I think and maybe I'll do is, I'd love it if we can find a way to post a chapter of Delia, which is one of the stories that is being taken down and republished by Evolve Publishing right now. And I'd like to post a chapter the way it was written originally and how it's been revised. I think that would be maybe a neat example of what this publisher is looking for, how to remove passive voice, and maybe some of the pitfalls that I've been falling into, and see what you think of that. See what people think of the difference in style. I'd be curious to get people's opinions.
That would be interesting. Do you want to post it like on our Facebook page or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that would work. Just to get some opinions and maybe spark some conversation.
I would definitely be interested in reading through that, kind of seeing the different things that people are looking for.
Yeah, it's interesting because the book had been edited several times already by myself and by the editor I normally work with, who is just a retired school teacher. And I thought it was pretty damn good until they got a hold of it, and it's like, holy shit, a whole nother ball game now. So, but yeah, I think that would be it would be good for people to see, and whether that kind of style would work for them.
All right,
okay, Katie.
On our Facebook page.
Yeah, we'll do that. I'll drum something up.
Excellent. All right. Well, I think that's pretty much all we have to talk about this week, unless you have something else to bring up, Jason.
Did we want to talk about euthanasia, or are we good?
I think we're good. We've hit the depressing topics already.
Okay. That's where my day's been, so.
Like I said, I wanted to be a vet growing up, but once I realized that you'd have to do that, nope, I just couldn't.
I was the same way. I looked at veterinary school, and then I'm like, I couldn't. Yeah, no, couldn't do it.
Yeah. There's nothing like sitting in a room bawling with a mom while you put their animal to sleep. Well, it's the best.
Well, on that cheerful note, thank you for hanging out with us today, Renee, and talking with us about the charity and your books.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
I was glad we were finally able to work it out. I know that the scheduling was always an issue.
Well, it's with the casino, I might work on Fridays and Saturdays, I might not. I only know 2 weeks in advance. I didn't want to make you guys not be able to talk to someone else just because I was hoping I might have the day off. But it kind of worked out, so I'm glad.
Yeah, we got it to work out. So thank you again for hanging out with us, and I'll be seeing you definitely in February for the event. Oh,
yeah,
somebody's stuck into my office.
Maybe we'll all be able to get together for another indie coffee sometime soon.
I miss those. I haven't been able to get out for much lately.
Victoria and I have coffee probably every other week, but that's about it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it was great talking to you tonight, Renee. Hi, little one. All right, to everyone out there, we'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks for hanging out with us, and look for another episode of Spilling Ink with more authors to introduce you to coming up soon. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Good night.